Board of Appeals. If you'd like to join me to begin the meeting with a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ryan, if we may have a roll call, please.
Sure. Mr. Auger.
Present.
Mr. Zurich.
Here.
Mr. Epping.
Present.
Mr. Galley.
Here.
And Mr. Charles is absent.
An excused absence for Mr. Sharrell. At this point, gentlemen, we've got an agenda that was published on the township website. If you could have a review of that, if there's any changes or modifications. If not, we should accept our agenda.
I motion that we accept tonight's agenda as posted.
Second.
With support and motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
We have an agenda. At this point, before we begin the agenda items, this is an opportunity for a call to public comment. If anybody's either in the audience tonight or online, it doesn't look like we have anybody online, that would like to speak on anything that's not on the agenda. So if you're here for an agenda item, we'll get to that next. Nothing? Seeing no public comment, I will close that. We'll move on to unfinished business. We have no unfinished business. We're going quickly. We have two cases tonight in new business. What'll happen is I will read the case into the agenda or into the record, introduce the variances that are being requested, and then we'll invite the applicant up to the lectern. When you come up to the lectern, if you could give us your name and address, and then just tell us what your case is about, what the appeal is. Our job tonight is to understand what it is you're asking for, why a variance is requested, and what might potentially be unique about your property that would prevent it from following the standard ordinance in the township. At that point, we'll open it up for public comment, if we have any public comment, and then we'll bring it back to the board to ideally make some type of decision. With that, I will call case number 24-013, Brian Bernhard, petitioner, requesting two variances. The first, an 8-foot front yard setback variance from the existing structure, and the second variance, a 29.4-foot front setback variance for an addition to the home. Both of these variance requests are from section 4.06D in the township ordinance. This is for a property located at 4811 Algonquin Boulevard, which is in the R1A single-family residential portion of the township. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you guys tonight?
Good. Hi, I'm here with my wife, Jocelyn Kumo.
Could you give us your name and just confirm
Brian
your address?
Barron. And what was it, sir?
Just confirm your name and your address for us, please.
4811 Algonquin,
Cool.
Clarkston, Michigan.
Thank you.
So we're requesting two variances, and I'm going to turn it over to my contractor,
Okay.
Claude.
Perfect
It's easier
time.
that way. Yeah.
I was sitting in the parking lot, I thought it didn't start till 6. So,
Okay.
all right.
Could you give us your name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Claude Garand, and I'm with Granville Construction and Development Company, and my address, you want work or home?
Work is fine.
7902 Sashball Road.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, you probably have the paperwork in front of you, or should I say the site plan in front of you. You'll see that the current property is non-conforming. It is 32 feet from the front of the road, which is supposed to be 40. And the side, which technically, Brian will let you know that is technically a front as well, because there's supposed to be a road there. But if you've looked at any of the pictures that were provided, you'll see that that road doesn't go anywhere. It stops into trees and shrubbery, and it's really a driveway to one house that's there. So the house was built in 1968. I'm going under the assumption, because there's been no variances of record, that the ordinance at the time was different than the current ordinance that is there now. Because we have the house non-conforming on the side and non-conforming on the front prior to the addition.
Right.
Now, the homeowner is, when I first met with them, we assumed that the house was conforming, and so the addition was to run parallel right with, off the house, off the side, so that way we would stay within what we thought were the setbacks and go towards the back of the lot where you had more than enough room to meet the setback requirements. The setback requirements from the back lot line is 50 feet, and we're at 74.8 feet away. It wasn't until my surveyor went out to do the site plan and the stakeout for the septic field and everything else that he identified that that there was actually a mistake in the county records of the actual boundary lines.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he actually, you know, I grew up, you guys might know who I am, but I grew up out here. And that was goat trails back in the day. I mean, if you remember back then, I mean, you really needed a motorcycle, a dirt bike to get back in there.
Right.
And I think there was, my surveyor says he thinks there was some mistakes when they did the road commission did the surveying for the road, because when he went back 3 different times and said, we have a mistake here, this is the correct boundaries right here.
Okay.
And I said, okay. And when he brought that to my attention, he said, you don't meet the setback requirements on the side. So that led me to do more investigative work and realize we didn't even meet the front setbacks, that this house is non-conforming to current setback requirements.
Understood. So I appreciate it. It's an excellent summary, and it makes a lot of sense. So although it doesn't feel like you're on a corner, technically it's a corner lot because
Correct.
we've got Algonquin and then we've got Beechwood. Beechwood really almost feels like a stone driveway, but it's technically a street. And so what started this, I guess I would assume, is that you want to put an addition on. Looks like a nice addition onto the home. But as you point out, that the current house on its own has 2 conflicting situations, both front setbacks, because you have 2 fronts. On Algonquin, it's 8 foot closer to the road right-of-way than it technically should be. On the side, it's even closer. It's about 11 feet or 7 foot 1 inch off, so there's requirement for a larger setback from the 40-foot standard. It is a standard non-conforming lot of record, which is not unusual for that neighborhood.
No, it's not for
And,
that neighborhood.
what I noticed, and we'll open up to our board, but just in terms of observation, the addition really doesn't create any additional setback needs. It really is in compliance or in parallel in plane with the Beechwood side of the house, and so it really just extends backwards rather than, creates a greater setback. So, does that summarize it pretty well?
That does, you just
Okay.
summarized it right
I
up
appreciate it.
perfectly.
Why don't I bring it back to our board for questions? We might have questions for you guys. Alan?
You've been to the Oakland County Health Department on the septic,
Yes, I have.
so you're gonna be putting in a new one?
Yes, and it's already approved. The perk is
Okay.
already approved.
Okay. In this particular case, I have no problems with it as much as I've built in Tindera Park and Sunny Beach. We've had, on jobs, I've had 2 and 3 surveyors until satellite surveying, who knows what's right, and the satellites could even be
Sure.
off. That's really a mess up there. I have no problem with this kid.
Ken?
I don't have a problem either. I just wanted to double check the fence, the wood fence that's currently there is shown correctly on your,
So, sir, that wood fence, may I come up there?
Yep.
Please.
So you'll see the wood fence right here
Yep.
is right at the edge. That wood fence is actually gonna go away with the addition. And then the house will just be built even back from the edge there, and then we're gonna fence in a new area for the dog.
okay.
Does that make sense? So that
Yes.
fence, it will actually look like a greater setback, because the
Yeah.
fence won't be there.
Okay,
Right.
but the fence on the drawing is where part of the fence is right now?
Correct.
On the plot plan, you mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
on Beechwood Avenue, the cobblestone road?
Yeah, that's the one picture that's up right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
so
is-
So
that
it's
fence
technically
line is
within the
basically
right.
not gonna change. parallel with that road.
Correct.
Right.
I'm all set.
Where the car is parked is the house at the end, then it's a big drop off. Then Beechwood picks up on the other side down by Mohawk.
And there's no complaints from residents?
I was just gonna bring that up. I talked to the neighbors and none of them complained about it. They said, nope, we don't care.
They all offered to actually come here on our behalf, but we told them we didn't think we needed them.
Oh, you should have had them.
If we have to come back, we'll bring the army, I guess.
Brian, any thoughts or questions?
No, just kind of echoed the same comments coming from the board, and just looking at the overhead, the neighbors right next door are obviously a non-conforming structure, and 3 or 4 other ones on the same overhead, so, you know, it's, over the years I've been here, we've had 10 or 15 cases in this neighborhood, so it's typical for the neighborhood, and the fact that it's keeping parallel with the house and what you said, Jim, about not increasing the nonconformity makes it okay with me.
Well, at this point, I'll open up for public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that cares to speak on this case? No? No one else is online? Brian, from a planning and building department point of view, anything that we haven't covered that we should be aware of?
No, you've got everything, and as I advertised this, I wanted to make sure that everything was whole for the resident in case they were to sell it. So that's why we are asking for the setback on the front on Algonquin.
And that's a good point. Really what we've seen, especially in this neighborhood and others like it, is when a case comes like before this, you pointed out that this original lot well predated our ordinance. It was probably built when we had no ordinance. As cases like this come up, it's just kind of good housekeeping to make sure that now this structure and the addition will have the proper setbacks, so it just makes your title a lot cleaner.
Excellent, excellent.
And if you notice on the survey, it's lots 8 through 11. They were boat lots, camping lots, everything back when Sunny Beach was developed.
Kind of cool. Good. Well, with that, gentlemen, if there's any additional questions or a motion?
I guess I'll make a motion, case number 24-013, requesting 2 total variances, an 8-foot front yard setback variance from the existing structure and a 29.4-foot front yard setback for the addition of the home, both from section 4.06D, table 4.06 at 4811 Algonquin. I recommend that we approve both ordinances, citing that this particular development is has a lot of non-conforming lots. A lot of neighboring properties also have variances, and the 8-foot front yard setback request is just a record-keeping request. Only requirement being that there is an as-built survey of the footings to make sure the footings are in place in line with what the site plan shows.
I'll support.
We have a motion and support. Brian, if we could have a roll call, please?
Mr. Auger,
Yes.
Mr. Epping,
Yes.
Mr. Galley,
Yes.
and Mr. Zurek.
Yes.
Great. Congratulations. Your project and variances have been approved, so please continue to work with the building department to make sure you have all your permits and get ready for the addition. It looks great.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to case number 24-014, Eugene English, petitioner, requesting an 8.2-foot front yard setback variance from section 4.09D in order to construct a pole barn on the property located at 7950 Dixie Highway, which is also in the R1A single-family residential. Both the first case and this case are really neat locations within the township, another cool street. Good evening. Tell us a little bit about, now you were just here not too long ago.
I was, Jim. Gene English at 7950 Dixie Highway. Yeah, you give me the original setback, in fact, the original variance, which was the side lot. And Jim Sparrow said, well, you gotta check that front too. So I had it checked, they came out, and I, oh, man, I'm way off. So I started digging back, and I kept digging. Because the unit, I don't know if you guys were out there, but it's all built.
Yeah, it looks nice.
And, thank you, and the unit, it's not actually a pole barn, it's an actual stick frame garage. I call it a carriage house, but it went into the berm. So it actually went back into the earth. And so I've got a receipt here from Keith. I had them out 4 different times, the last one being the as-built. And what I was trying to do was trying to figure out where it's at, because they'd mark it, and I was doing all my own site work, so I'd pull up the stakes and I'd go back to where I think it was, and then I'd have them come back, and I'm still not there. Well, the last time that I moved it back, was told that I need to still move it back some, excuse me, I hit a root from the red maple on the left that my wife and I planted when we moved there, and she came up and goes, "What are you doing?" So I stopped, and I was about ready to hit the oak, well, I was picking up some of the oak roots too. I stopped and said, "That's where I'm building it." I went and talked to Brian, and he goes, "Okay, you're 90% on there, but you're gonna have to apply for a variance." So that's where I'm at. It came out nice, as you said, Jim, I thank you, and I stopped going backwards, and again, this shows that I got 4 different engineering surveys done so that I could try to meet my requirement, and then at the end, I ended up not even meeting the requirement because I was gonna kill 2 trees, and I just didn't feel comfortable doing that,
Okay,
so.
Great.
Jim,
go ahead.
I would like to make sure that the old minutes of his first request are put into the minutes of this meeting.
So, thank you. So, Mr. English was here on April 3rd, 2024, just a few months ago, received the side yard variance at that point that was voted on and approved, and the garage was constructed after that. At that point, Mr. Charles had some concerns about the accuracy of I think it was the right-of-way, the location of the right-of-way versus actual street, dirt road, which caused this front side setback.
And I don't know if it matters, but there's, in that, if you've ever been past that, my house, there are several houses that are well within 75 feet of the road, so obviously variances were granted along the way to them as well.
Right.
But it is what it is. It's a narrow road, and it's kind of tight back there.
Right.
And I think it came out pretty nice, actually, even though I didn't quite meet my restrictions. The thing looks like it sits nice, it fits nice.
Right. Brian, any thoughts, questions, comments?
Not really, just, you know, what you already said, Jim, about, you know, it's another unique area of the township with the surveying, the lay of the land, and the hilliness of it, and, you know, since I've been here, we've had 4 or 5 cases back in this area as well, and, you know, I commend Mr. English for doing the right thing and keeping the open communication with Keith and Brian and coming back in and making it whole, so
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with it. What I do have an issue with is the traffic up by us now. That's why you were late, right?
Yeah.
You can't get, people that don't live up in the north part of the township don't realize it. It's a mess.
It's a mess right in downtown.
Yeah. Well, that's because everybody's trying to
Because
get around
everybody's,
it.
yeah, Dixie's not open.
Oh,
I'm hoping it's gonna open
I
soon.
went 4 different ways to get here today. I just kept running
It's-
into roadblocks.
It's a zoo, until they get 75 back open, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, but thank you for making this whole.
No, no problem.
Ken, any
No
questions?
concerns.
Alan, you had some different thoughts on this case back in April, and you bring up a good point about the minutes tonight. Do you have any more additional questions or comments?
Well, the petitioner, yeah, it's lengthy. We have a copy of the minutes. You know all the discussion that went on about the location, everything else. I think this is a bait and switch myself. It's a beautiful garage out there. I think he did what he wanted. I'm adamantly opposed to approving it. He caused his own hardship. This garage could have been put at the end of his driveway, back of his house. We let him go ahead and put it here, and he moved it forward anyway.
Actually moved it
I'm
back 3
totally
times.
against any approval on this.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Alan. Brian, what has been the ongoing communication with the township and ongoing discussion with the building department?
Well, Gene he's been right up front with, I mean, he's accurate in his statements, you know, that he let us know right away once he got, you know, this was part of the approval, the placement verification.
Right.
And, once he submitted it, you know, I mean, we've had this from time to time where somebody builds something, and that's why you require that on pretty much every variance we have. So that's why he's back in front of you to make this whole, and And, you know, I understand his concern about trees and things like that, that's commendable, and that's up to you to decide if that's a worthy enough request.
Okay, great, thank you. I'll open it up to public comment. We don't have anybody in the room here. It doesn't look like we have anybody online. If anybody in the public that I don't see, then I'll close public, or the public comment on this case.
I guess I just have one more comment. It's,
Sure.
I think the barn right next to it, didn't we approve that 5 or 6 years ago? And it's pretty much in the
Yeah.
exact same spot on the neighboring
It is,
property.
Pretty much, yeah.
It comes out, his new garage is out further.
Yeah, I think by 5 feet or 8 feet, something like that.
Yeah, we gave a variance to that.
I think I remember that being here.
Well, gentlemen, I understand the positions. I think they're all well-founded. If we'd like to have a motion or further discussion.
I guess I'll just make a motion, see where it goes. Case number 24-014, Eugene English petitioner requesting an 8.2 front yard setback variance from section 4.09D. Section 4.09 in order to construct a pole barn on the property at 7590 Dixie Highway. I motion that we approve the variance, and it is as-built, verified by Keefe Engineering. Citing that this area, there have been several variances since I've been on the board, and is, you know, a known area of non-conforming issues.
We have a motion. Do we have support?
Support?
We have a motion. We have support. Do we have any discussion on the motion?
Do we need to add that we want to include the minutes in the motion, or?
They were,
We
That
read,
was-
well, it wasn't part of the motion, but it was part of our
Discussion.
discussion today.
Okay.
Brian, if we could have a roll call, please?
Mr. Epping?
Yes.
Mr. Galley?
Yes.
Mr. Zurich?
Yes.
Mr. Auger?
no.
All right. Mr. English, you've gotten approval. I understand the situation. I appreciate the fact that you work closely with the township. It is our policy to ask for those as-built surveys. We really do that to try and
Yeah.
validate that it is built per the ordinance. It's not good practice for us to kind of come in after the fact, so.
No, I understand that.
We are where we
It's truly
are,
not a
but-
bait and switch, Alan. It
Yeah.
was more of, this is what because originally I thought I was within my realm of building it where I wanted to originally build it until Jim Sparrow said, you better check that out, because that line you're using is not right. And he was right.
Right.
It wasn't right.
Right.
We were off 15 feet off the center, off the edge of the road
Did
before
we-
you could start.
And I apologize, did we, as part of the April meeting, did we request any landscaping on that as well? I can't remember if that was part of the motion or
I don't
not.
think so, but I'm getting
No.
there. It's close to being,
Might be a good idea to maybe
Seeded.
landscape it well and make sure it looks
Yeah.
good from the road.
well, and I've been working on the whole building into a berm and the water coming down both sides and keeping it away from the garage at the same time. So I've got it pretty well under control now.
Good. All right, thank you, Mr.
Okay.
English.
Thank you all.
Have a good
Appreciate it.
evening. Good night.
Have a good night. Thanks, Brian.
With that, we do have the July 10th meeting minutes were in our packet. If everybody had a chance to review those, if there's any changes, if not, we can accept those and read them in.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 10th, 2024 minutes as presented.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So the July 10th meetings are now official. Discussion, with the meeting still open, a quick meeting here, any additional discussion?
I feel that this should have been turned down, now that we're in open discussion. We denied it on another location and the building was moved. I don't feel that this,
Should have been
as much
accepted.
discussion that went on with this, it was a bait and switch. He knew what he was doing.
That's a fair point. Any additional discussion? Now, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:26.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And our meeting is adjourned.
Tomorrow night will be 9.